Hey, welcome to Mazzy's Mix number 7. Mazzy's Mix are a series of videos I do where I do parts and pieces. I throw things together. Sometimes I might do a little feature on a mini feature on an artist. I show new releases, new or used, and feature an album or two. Plus I read your comments, yours, the ones that are a little kooky. So, it's not a contest. So if you want to write a kooky comment, but I can kind of tell when someone is serious about something. So I want to respond in like or unlike or any way I want to. So enjoy the journey, and I love reading your responses. So thanks again for coming, and I really appreciate all of you who have watched these videos and made them successful and viewable, or have viewed them quite a bit and have subscribed. So click that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And you don't have to click the bell. I don't want to bug you like in the middle of the night that Mazzy posted a video. Usually it's 6 in the morning West Coast time when most of my videos go up at whenever I post them. I'm not going to talk about the music of this video, but I would be remiss if I didn't showcase this, because it's kind of the album that everyone's talked about. And of course, you can speed forward, but I have a few comments I want to make about this. And this is, of course, the Analog Production Special Clear Vinyl, Hoodoo Vinyl, UHQR Miles Davis kind of blue, which is $100 plus shipping or tax or whatever it is. So it's not for the faint of heart. I don't have a 6i anymore, and I used to have a 1970-71 Columbia record, but in my mid-90s purge, I got rid of it. So I think I have a legacy issue from I think it's a Kevin Gray, the mono one, I believe. I could be missing this. And I have the Mo-5 45 RPM. And I'm just going to give you my take on it, and some great things about it and some things that are not so great. Now, I have a copy that's beautiful, that's quiet, that's flat. There are a handful of these that I've read, people in the vinyl community, people on Hoffman forums that are getting a little bitchy because they say the vinyl is noisy. And this is supposed to be that super quiet vinyl process that Chad Kasem and Analog Productions, Acoustic Sounds, has developed, and this single step process. And I'm not going to get into that. There are plenty other videos. In fact, Michael Poetry on Plastic, I think, did the best overview and comparison. So there's a link below to his channel. Watch his full, 20-minute video on this record. And he can say it much better than I am. But I want to say a few things. First of all, it's an amazing sounding record. When I first heard a handful of people complaining about there's noise, I listened to mine several times. Now, I don't headphone albums, but I have a decent setup, and I listened to it, and I didn't hear any noise. I did occasionally hear, there's a lot of brushes on this album, a lot of drumming brushes, and that's by James Cobb. And first I wonder if people are hearing those brushes and thinking it's noise. So check that out first. Although people have been washing and rewashing and re-washing these records. I don't wash records. I use a brush. But again, my copy is quiet, silent, and beautiful. Stoughton press, covers, tipped-on jackets, special booklets, and all this. Now, a couple of things. So anyway, the bottom line is this is the best copy that I've ever heard of this record. I don't have the classic records that this is based on, those metal parts. This is the best copy I have. I do like it better than my Mo-5 45 RPM, which is really good, a little on the heavy bass side, but not in a bad way. And I think a lot of modern recordings have that sound, and I don't think it's bad at all. This is a little more neutral, probably more like the tapes, but I'm not going to get into that thing. My number is number 2946 out of 25,000 copies. You can still get it. There'll be a 45 down the line. But a couple things. First of all, this is my first UHQR certificates and all the details and how special it is and everything. And I'm considering how special they said it is. there are some apparently people having issues, and I'm not going to doubt them. So hopefully they'll be repressed. But you always wonder why something so special, and they're taking their time. Are they overburdened in the plant with these? And they got to be careful. I've heard people who have the Jimi Hendrix UHQR and the other ones that they're flawless. But apparently there are some issues here. But again, if you have an issue, let the record company know, or let Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds know. And in 6 months to a year, you'll get a copy once they ramp up and repress them. But just enjoy it for the time being. I don't think, and this is a thing about these kind of things in general, not acoustic, just acoustic sounds, but whether it be small batch from Kraft or whether it be Mobile Fidelity, they're, one steps. Does a record really need a friggin' box? I don't think so. I think they could just do this like the Tone Poets and call it a day. That's all you need. It would save on money, time, and waste. Look at this. This is this. Also, now, again, what you get is you get a booklet, which is really nice, but that could even slip in the regular, the back of the regular thing like MoFi does. You get their living promotion, the whole UART, the technical specs and everything. Like, it's a friggin' record. Do I need to know this? Do I need to know how the guy makes it? Watch a friggin' video. But I know people like that, and audiophiles kind of like creaming their jeans over this kind of stuff. So, who am I? Who am I to say? Apparently, I'm not the right audience because I just want the great record like the Tone Poets I'm going to show you later on. That's what it's about. Or the Chet Baker Craft records that are, $25 to $35 in Tone Poets. That's the price. That's what this should be. Do they need this super clear vinyl that takes out the carbon? The carbon fucking holds the thing together. I don't know how they do that, and I kind of listened to all the Bernie Grunman and the pressing and the Gary at the pressing plant talking about that. And of course, I'm no scientific person, but it seems to me that carbon, that black carbon that makes up the color, holds everything together. So I don't think that is necessary. This is very quiet. Is it the quietest record in my collection? No. In fact, I just listened to Soulville by Ben Webster, an acoustic sounds record, and that to me was quieter than this record. And that's on black with carbon, by the way. Also, I'm not sure if this is an error, but it's really tight. I think they made this box a little too tight, too small. Because it's funny, you can't put it in straight. You have to put it in an angle to make it fit. Huh? Someone didn't measure right. It's inches. It's centimeters. Use the right detail. So anyway, ultimately, it's the music, and that's all that matters to me. And was it worth it for the $100 for me to have this record, this wonderful, one of the best jazz albums, obviously the biggest selling jazz albums ever? Yes. This album sounds fantastic, and this is the best sounding version I've ever heard, and I highly recommend it. So once they get their act together, and if you do get a copy and you have issues, I would write them and make sure you're on the list for replacement when they replace them. And will I get a 45 RPM version of this? I highly doubt it. I might get sucked into it. I'm not a big fan of the 45s. Yes, it'll probably sound somewhat better, but I don't know if I need that. I might get sucked into it. We'll see when that comes. So we're going to go on the rest of this Mazzy's mix with comments read to you, and I'm going to respond. And then at the last third of this video are going to be some new records that have come in. Okay, now the comments section. This is the segment of the Mazzy's Mix video that I get more comments about comments. And I really do appreciate the comments. I get a lot of corrections because I do trip over my lips, as I've said many times before, and sometimes I invert. I actually showed the wrong Urban Hymns album. Sometimes I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. These aren't documentaries, and if you think they're documentaries, you should go watch an Attenborough, the real documentary, and that's more of the natural resources of our planet. Sir Attenborough. Anyway, Sir David Attenborough. I'm thinking of Richard Attenborough, his brother, the actor. Spare no expense. I know it's not just Jurassic Park, but now I'm kind of confusing you all. So I do get a lot of great comments, and I appreciate them. And I love when, my psychedelic series have been fairly popular, although I'm still getting people challenging me on the veracity of what I'm showcasing. That's not psychedelic. This ain't psychedelic. Well, as I said countless times, it's the vision of my psychedelia growing up when I put playlists together. It's the kind of music that fits together. So if you want to put it in the specific box of psychedelia, screw it. I mean, do it. Do it, screw it. So here's some letters. The first one, this is in response to my Best of Bob Dylan Ranked video, which is, a few months past. Good review. On the flip side, perhaps when you grow up, you have learned some objectives for your vocabulary that don't begin with the letter F. And that's from Bell Russ. Bell Russ. Thank you, Bell Russ. I know that's why I push the no children, no kids button when I upload these videos. But you're absolutely right. I don't need to say fuck as much as I say fuck. But having, studied the theater for 4 years, one of my favorite contemporary playwrights is David Mamet. So if you know David Mamet's work, you'll know why I say fuck so much. What's the shot? Fuck. What's the shot? Huh? Okay. Next, in another one of the Bob Dylan studio albums, Steve F. wrote, in fact, I actually responded. I don't always respond to these kind, but I try to interact sometimes when I can. Self-Portrait was only good for laughs. Anyone who prefers that album to the Basement Taste has very poor taste. I showed this. We did a collaboration video, and I've done several on Bob Dylan. I liked this video when it came. I liked this record when it came out. A lot of covers, a lot of interesting things. It's a transitional record. It's a record where an artist just wanted to play these songs and put them out. And sometimes I think, especially with Dylan, people would take him too seriously that he just can't have fun and do a record like this. But I loved it, and obviously there's the infamous Griddle Marcus review is like, what is this shit? What the fuck is this shit? Oh, what's the shot, David Mamet? And then I responded, I guess my taste is shite then. I don't know why I said shite. I think I presumed Steve F. is from the UK, and I apologize if you're not from the UK, or I apologize if you're from the UK. And that's why I said shite. Translation, if you're American, it's shit. That's the difference there. Then he wrote, if the shoe fits, amigo, if you have to hear that atrocious slipshot version of the Boxer on a daily basis, that's swell. They're your hours. Spend them as you will. I do like the Basement tapes, and I did buy the bootleg, Great White Wonder bootlegs way before, not way before, 4 years, 3 to 4 years before Columbia officially releases in the 70s. Of course, these are the better songs, his songs, done for publishing, and they finally put it out officially. And I will say, the Basement tapes, Self-Portrait got a reevaluation in the last few years. This box set, vinyl version, CD version, another Self-Portrait, a fantastic, almost a reevaluation. There's certain artists that their work is reevaluated. So this is incredible overview. So Steve F., check this out. Check this record out. I wonder what your thought is on that. So, okay, enough of that. Next, okay, the best neo-psychedelic album since 1980. I got a lot of response here. A lot of corrections, because I did make, as I said, I reversed, I think I said the right name with the wrong record title and so on. And of course, these are only 20 albums, pretty much, or 25 or 30 albums. They're never complete overview. So I like when people suggest other records. Sometimes there are records that I missed. Sometimes I wasn't in the mood. They were not in my sort of top 20 or 20. Charles Merriam writes, I hate to say it, but Rings Around the World is not neo-psych. In fact, it's not very good. Sorry. Okay, what he's referring to is the Welsh band Super Furry Animals, amongst my very, very favorite bands. And they made a series of records. They made one in Welsh, sung in Welsh, maybe two. But they made a series of records that are kind of a fusion of neo-psychedelic fact, Subjective, maybe fact. That's okay. It's my facts, so it's my channel. So facts are facts. Facts of life. Electronic, psychedelic, Brit pop, a little bit, or Welsh pop, I should say. And I love this, you know. And if you don't think this is psychedelic, let me just read this to you. This is from New Music Express, and you know that great British publication. Rings Around the World is very cinematic and falls somewhere between the Super Furries Animals 1999, the instantaneous, easy grasp, and almost disposable Gorilla. It goes on, goes on. It says, the album is a kaleidoscope of pop, prog, punk, psychedelic, and electronic, drowned in sounds described with Beach Boys-esque psychedelic pop put to techno undertones. An expansive, glossy production, lush and wide screen. So we're talking cinematic psych. If you don't believe me, judge for yourself. Also on my best of psychedelic albums since 1980, neo-psych albums. How did you not include a single Elephant Six album? Even if you might hate Neutral Milk Honey, but no Olivia Tremor Control, either of their two records is better than any record on this list. Or Circulatory System, the most truly psych album of the last 30 years. I appreciate that, and I didn't include Elephant Six collaborations, and I do know, obviously, of Montreal, okay? And I do like Neutral Milk Honey, especially, obviously, Aeroplane. Now, the thing about this, literally, I just forgot it. And the thing is, again, I love your comments. I really do. But just because I don't include something, I think it's kind of wrong, and I can say you're wrong because it's me saying you're wrong, is that just because I don't include doesn't mean I don't like it. I have a huge, massive collection, so if I'm showing 20 or 30 albums, no way in fucking shite hell am I going to show every record. So I should have sort of talked about the Elephant Six Collective out of, was it Boston? Philly? Now see, you're going to correct me, but I can look it up. I forgot. It's East Coast-ish somewhere. That was, by the way, that was from E.T. E.T., I think your mother's calling you. Okay, W.J. Stevens writes, and this is response also to my best of neo-psych album since 1980. Tangerine Dream is an exponent of the Berlin School of Electronics and does not represent diverse krautrock or prog scene in Germany at all, in my honest opinion. Choosing The Residents as an example of prog from the Americas is like choosing Tiny Tim as an example of an American rock and roll album. It's ridiculous. I'm afraid you're a bit out of your depth in your understanding of the genre. Well, I've seen them live many times, the Collective, the Residents, and the other group of people on Ralph Records, Tuxedo Moon and Snakefinger. And they do electronic, conceptual, but they have a psychedelic experimental overtone. That's how I'm looking at that. And in terms of Tiny Tim, this is a fucking great psychedelic pop masterpiece produced by Richard Perry. Look at that cover, psychedelic rock and roll. Come on, come on. I mean, look at that. That's a rock and roll nose second only to Frank Zappa. Tiny Tim. God bless Tiny Tim. All right. W.J. Stevens comments again on that psychedelic video, on the UK psychedelic video. I know Hendrix broke in Britain and the rest of the Brio were British musicians, but in no way British psychedelia, not even close. It's typical American. Maybe you're kidding? I'm not kidding. I literally live probably 8 to 10 blocks from where Jimi Hendrix lived for a while when he lived in the projects in Seattle. I mean, he lived in different neighborhoods, Beacon Hill, the south end of Seattle, where I live right now. So I'm right in here. But he goes in the Army, he gets Britain. Chaz Chandler, British bass player from the Animals, kind of discovers him. The band gets together, the British band. The first two records, these two records are recorded in Britain. He's a British artist. He had an apartment. Is it in Kensington? I forgot the neighborhood. Don't dump all over me because I forget the neighborhood that Jimi Hendrix lived in London. But British artist, obviously born and bred in America, came back here, Electric Ladyland. Yes, was recorded in New York at the record plant, I believe, or the Hit Factory record plant. Anyway, so I'm including him. To me, they're a British band, but yes, he's an iconic American guitar player, bluesy-based psychedelia. Arthur Dalton writes, yes, you have lost your hat on the Banshees, Susie and the Banshees, thinking that they are psychedelic in any shape or form. I don't know. Listen to the phase shifting at the end. Now, phase shifting does not make it psychedelic, but you decide. And the last comment I'm going to read in this week's episode of Mazzy's Mix from Vinyl Junkie. There's a lot of vinyl junkies and sub-vinyl junkie commenters that use a variation of the Vinyl Junkie name, and that's fair. Oh well, just one more video where someone forgets to make any mention of Robert Plant. You mentioned T-Bone Burnett, who produced Raising Sand. You know, that Robert Plant, Alison Krauss little effort from 2007 that got some attention and a Grammy or two and a hit song and still sells quite well even to this day? As far as comps go, RP does have 9 lives. I guess it's probably too expensive for some, but there is 66 to Timbuktu. Or if you want a comp of his from South America, goes on and on. Of course, if you had mentioned Robert Plant, you would have compared his solo work to that other band he was in, 40. What band was Robert Plant in? I'll have to remember that. Put in the comments, what band was Robert Plant in? Have you ever heard of the album Mighty Rearranger? Or how does Dreamland sound? Or, oh, but it doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin. Darn! Exclamation point. All right, Vinyl Junkie. First of all, that was in response to a recent video I did, 20 great anthology comps on CD. Okay, I showed 20 comps. Look at my fucking CD collection. Well, these were CD comps. I picked 20. I didn't pick Robert Plant. I didn't pick Robert Plant this time. I didn't pick Alan Sherman, Hello Mudda, Hello Fada. I didn't pick Bruce Springsteen. I didn't pick Dusty Springfield. Actually, I did on the female one. I didn't pick Elvis Presley. I didn't pick the Beatles. So, and in terms of Robert Plant, The Ceaseless Roar, and of course, Raising Sand. I don't have it on vinyl, but I love this record. I know it. Just because I don't include it in 20 fucking videos when I have thousands and thousands of records. Calm down, Mazzy. I heard there's a rumor they're doing a second one. Is that true? Anybody know that? A follow-up to this. No Quarter. Okay, this is where they dump the bass player. This is 50% of, this is lead without the Zeppelin, I guess. Or this is probably Zeppelin without the lead. I think John Bonham was the lead part of that. Actually, Jimmy Page. I like Jimmy Page. And I saw Led Zeppelin 3 times, so there. Walking in the Clarksdale. Jimmy Page. Robert Plant. Robert Plant, Dreamland. There's your fucking Dreamland, baby. And the Mighty Rearranger. All right. Okay. Maybe another video I might feature those. I like Robert Plant. I like these records. I probably, not sure if I know them enough to showcase, to do a feature on Robert Plant. But I just showed him, so I guess I'm done there. So, and everyone knows Led Zeppelin. I think someone else can rate and rearrange Led Zeppelin records. The Great Rearranger. So that's enough for this week comment-wise. We'll continue on and see where this goes. Who knows? Okay, new records in the house and a couple of reissues here. I'm going to give a heavy shout out to this album, St. Vincent, Daddy's Home. Daddy's Home. And I want to talk about this for a bit. This has become one of my favorite albums of the year so far. We're midway through the year. This is, of course, St. Vincent. What a great guitar player. If you haven't seen any of her videos where she's playing, I think Music Man has a signature edition guitar that she kind of co-designed with Music Man. But this is a fantastic record. And what's really interesting about it, the whole influence of Daddy's Home are albums of the early 70s. I'm going to put a link below. There's a really kind of nice, 10, 15-minute video of her showcasing several albums that influenced her in the making of this album. This album does have a 70s, a little bit of a singer-songwrite feel to it. There's some, neo-psychedelic, dare I say, Eastern sitar-type guitar flourishes. There's a little mild prog, and of course, any prog people aren't going to get what I'm talking about. But why I say that is because she showed several albums that influenced her while she wrote and recorded this record. And these 3 records I show you that influenced her heavily in the making of this album. If you like these, you should check out this St. Vincent record. It's not going to sound anything like this, but the layering, the recording, the arrangements. One is obviously Pretzel Logic, Steely Dan. Obviously, there's a song on here, Ricky Don't Lose That Number. That's kind of a, I don't want to say rip off, but they borrow from Horace Silver and songs from My Daddy album. This is a great album. So this is one of the albums that influenced Daddy's Home by St. Vincent. Another is sort of the soulful funkiness of War's record. And this is The World is a Ghetto. And lastly, one that just seems so unlikely, but she says it, and even though it doesn't sound anything like it, yes, Fragile. There's different layers in the way she records this album, the way she sings this album, and I think it's really well recorded. So amongst my favorite albums of the year so far, I've heard it 5 times, and I'm going to be playing this forever, or at least in the forever near future. Mazzy's near forever. St. Vincent, Annie Clark. Annie Clark's her real name. All right. Now, another unusual remix album that just came out, and I don't think anyone's really seen this quite yet. And if you have, if you like dance mixes, electronic mixes, you know, when a DJ and an artist remix a bunch of their clever tracks as an alternative version, not a replacement for the originals. But check this out. This is Katie Lang. Oh my God, look at that. Now, this is a photograph, an unpublished photograph taken in 1995 by the infamous photographer David LaChapelle. And David LaChapelle. David LaChapelle was a fashion is a fashion portrait photographer that really gets into the grandiose set design, styling, environments. If you don't know his work, Google his name, David LaChapelle. Great photographer, very kitschy in terms of his styling. And of course, if you know Katie Lang, my guess is she didn't dig this at the time where she was going. I don't know if it was done for a magazine or what the deal was, but this is the perfect cover shot for a remix album. And this has songs like Lifted by Love, If I Were For You, Just Keep Moving, Sexuality, Miss Chantelane, Theme from the Valley of the Dolls, which I believe was on a 7-inch EP, or an EP, 12-inch EP maybe. So they're different remix versions of this, electronic versions on 2 LPs, a beautiful kind of a turquoise color, which fits right into that dress that probably the stylist and David LaChapelle put on her. But this is a fun record. This is like a Friday evening, put a cocktail on, or Saturday, just grooving. And I think it's great. I'm a big fan of Katie Lang. Her Ingenue record and her sort of country western records, and of course her cowpunk in a way, are just fabulous. Another new record that I just got that I'm in love with is Rose City Band. I believe this is Ripley Johnson's 3rd album. Ripley Johnson's done several projects. He's now in Portland, Oregon. He was the brainchild of Wooden Ships, the kind of neo-psychedelic San Francisco band that was sort of a little sort of dirge-like metronome rhythmic outfit that has psychedelic but not electronics. What he does with the Rose City Band is more country-based, folk country, alternative country. I would say he goes on from where the Grateful Dead left off with Working Man's Dead and American Beauty. That acoustic sounding sound. Some of his stuff actually sounds like the Grateful Dead. I would say the mix of this album is a combination of the Grateful Dead around that 1970 period, J.J. Cale, and Mazzy Star. If you can picture the mood, the intimacy, the slowness of Mazzy Star. Soaring pedal steel guitar throughout the whole record. And it's a fabulous album called Earth Trip. It's on Thrill Jockey Records. I believe they're out of Chicago. There he is, Ripley Johnson. Out in nature, probably in the Oregon, beautiful Oregon. And look at this. I'm not always a colored vinyl person, but I think this is pretty tough. Earth Trip, Rose City Band. And I do a shout out there. to Rob Walker in the UK, who turned me on originally to the Rose City Band. He saw me show Wooden Ships, and thanks to you, Rob, in Manchester, England, I got into the Rose City Band. Now, this is not a new record, but this kind of follows in that 1970s footsteps of the sound. It's interesting how we're 50 years past 1971. I did a 1971 kind of teaser video. I'm going to be doing a Memories of a Vinyl Junkie soon of 1971, because it's a wonderful, beautiful year for music, but a tempestuous political and sort of a revolutionary year for music in America. And but this record has been reissued. One of the great records of all time. Trubby Stills and Nash and Young, Dallas Taylor, Greg Reeves, Deja Vu. And it's funny because I keep thinking of David Crosby's solo album, name of his solo album, If I Can Only Remember My Name. Deja Vu, they kind of fit together. Now, the good, bad, and the ugly. First of all, there's no bad, but this is one of those hybrid collections that some people that hate vinyl hate they had to buy this. People that hate CDs hate they had to buy this, because it's the album remixed by Chris Bellman, plus 4 CDs of outtakes and alternate versions and mixes and remix, all that kind of hoo-ha. There is a 5 LP set that has all this. That's a limited expensive edition. I'm not ordering that. But I tell you, the remastered pressing of this record bests any other version. I used to have an original. I had sold it during my 90s purge because it's a favorite album. I bought the better CD version, but I have probably a later 70s pressing. This is better. I believe it's an all analog cut, but either way, it's gorgeous. Has a beautiful textured cover here. But again, the record is in here with a booklet. And if you want this record, this is a little pricey because you're getting all the CDs, but it's fantastic. If you like this music, if you like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, this is an incredible record, amazing recording. And this is Gruff. He's the singer and one of the main songwriters of Super Furry Animals. Super Furry Animals has been pretty dormant for the last 10 years or so, but he's done 5, 6 records now, incredible stuff. And this is his new record that just came out called Seeking New Gods. And it's Gruff Rhys, and he's again Welsh. And this has a sort of deep, dark, kind of greenish cover, as you can see. His packaging is really wonderful. I know there was a limited edition that I didn't get that goes beyond. I can't remember all the details, but some of his packaging is gorgeously beautiful. This has a obi type strip, very Japanese design. Fantastic pop, almost like folk pop. Should I say neo-psychedelic folk pop? Someone's gonna get pissy at me again. These 2 records are reissues, and this is a band I totally missed the first time around, and I've been getting into them lately, and that are Trees. I got these 2. I think they only made 2 or 3. I think they made 3 records. There was a box set came out on Earth Records. These came out last year during the pandemic. They came out during the time of Fairport Convention, late like 69, 70. And I don't know how I missed them. I'd never heard of them until just this past year. Folk rock, electric folk rock, in a way like Fairport Convention, Pentangle, but more on the rock side of that. Female vocalist, Celia Humphreys. So they have that Fairport sound, but a little more neo-psychedelic British UK folk. Fantastic. These are really wonderful records. I like them both. I think I like this one better. And it's called On the Shore by Trees. And this is just called, I think this is self-titled Trees. I don't know much about them, but I know they lasted a very short time. Put out 3 records, I think. That's it. Trees. And of course, the obligatory, all right, I'm so bored showing those friggin' Tone Poet records. But we have The Witch Doctor, Art Blakey, a beautiful printed cover of a terrible cover. I think this is one of Blakey's worst covers, but it's a great package nonetheless. Of course, Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, Bobby Timmons, Jaime Merritt, and Art Blakey on drums. And of course, Katanga, Katanga. This is a fucking great, it's what you think it would be, but with the name Katanga. And it's Jack Wilson, Ray Crawford, Curtis Amy, and Dupree Holton. And this was it late 70s, I believe, when did this, oh, no, I'm sorry, 1963, so way earlier than I thought. But it's got sort of that African kind of jazzy, upbeat sound like the cover describes or showcases. Beautiful record. This is one of the few that's not a gatefold because this was Pacific Jazz, not Blue Note. And of course, tone poets are only issuing gatefolds when they have session photos to stick inside, which is fine. I think I would just assume every tone poet and jazz does reissues like this. This is the way to go. This is kind of like the Chet Bakers at Kraft put out. Really nice tipped-on jackets and beautiful. They don't need to be gatefolds, in my opinion. Great price point. This is a fun record. This is a fun, upbeat record. So that is the new records on Mazzy's Mix. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Comment more so I have more stuff to stick in the next Mazzy's Mix. Mazzy loves you.
And now, because you've all been so sweet, another duet for you. They say we're young and we don't know, won't find out until we grow. Well, I don't know, I guess it's true, 'cause you got me and baby I got you. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. They say our love won't pay the rent before it's earned. Our money's always spent. Well, I don't know. We ain't got no plot. Still, I'm sure all the love we got. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got flowers in the spring. I got you to wear my ring. When I'm sad, you're a clown. When I get scared, you're always around. Some people say your hair's too long. I don't care. With you, I can't go wrong. So put your little hand in my heart. There ain't no hill or mountain we can climb. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. Ah, 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 ah.